The following is brought to you by Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology. TotalSeal.com. Hey everybody, Joe Castello here. Welcome back to Hidden Horsepower. This is a very special edition for those of you who are longtime listeners and watch everything that goes out on the podcast feed, listen to everything that goes out on the podcast feed, and watch everything that goes out on the social channels. You may recall where we last left off. Matt Hartford, the CEO of Total Seal, who basically empowered this whole show, was going to the U.S. Nationals to run NHRA Drag Racing's biggest single race. For those of you that are maybe not as knowledgeable about drag racing, it's our biggest deal. It's the Daytona 500, it's the Indy 500, it's the Grand Prix of Monaco, it's the 24-hour Le Mans. Think about the biggest race or game. That's what Indy is for drag racing. I shouldn't have to say that. Bottom line is, we had trackside tech talks, and we had a whole bunch of great things happen. Most importantly, in the Pro Stock Eliminator, Matt Hartford and his team won the race. They got the job done. So you can go back and listen to all the things that were said in the preview show and think about them in context to the fact that they got it done. Now, he's done nearly every drag racing media show. He's trying to do piston rings, but we had to get an interview for you guys so you could hear Hartford after winning the Big Go before they get ready for the NHRA Countdown, which is going off this week in Maple Grove, Pennsylvania at the Pep Boys NHRA Nationals. Points reset. They're second in the points. They're going after the championship. So we got Hartford and we got Antron Brown. We're going to pick up the interview as we bring them together because Antron won as well. And we're going to run through the interview because Antron had a couple of choice words for Matt Hartford, something to do with champagne in his eye, etc., and so on. And then we'll get heavy into Hartford. But what happens when the CEO of Total Seal Piston Rings goes out there and wins the U.S. Nationals? Let's find out.
Being able to bump elbows with people like Ron Capps, like, Jack Beckman, Tony Schumacher, who's won all those championships with Alan Johnson, and then teaming up with Brian Karate, Mark Oswald, and Brad Mason, who's been the glue, like all those guys together, they've been the glue of AB Motorsports in my whole career. And Lee Beard giving me a chance with David Powers. You think about all the people that's been here, man. It's like, and I've been a part of, that Ron's been a part of. It's been totally amazing. We're truly blessed, but we will be not doing the sport any justice if we didn't do what we did by going out on our own at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you're paying it forward already. The announcement that we had a week ago with Angel and your plan for AB Motorsports Accelerate to bring in new people, paying it forward. Speaking of paying it forward, let's bring in a first-time U.S. Nationals winner. Right? He broke through. This is a career-defining win for him. You remember your first Indy. I don't think you sprayed anybody in the eye, though, as we ring in Hartford.
Joe, hi Antron, hi Joe. So we got to talk about something.
Listen,
why did you do me this way?
Why?
You want me to come in and try to follow up Antron? Thanks, pal. I mean, I finally get on here and then he's on here. I mean, and look at this. Now, we're gonna have nothing compared to him.
That's not true. That's not true,
Matt. That's not true. You got the juice, man. And you're new, Matt. You're new. Like, you're not new at winning. You've won 7 times before the U.S. Nationals, haven't you?
Yeah, this is the U.S. Nationals was my 7th.
Yeah. Your 7th, right? So
in
you won
NHRA
6 times.
Pro Stock.
In NHRA Pro Stock. So the craziest part of it is, like, when we all look, I'm just let you know, Matt, from now on, because you've been winning some races, you've been winning a lot of races. When you look at other people and you tell them, "Hey, man, I'm going to spray the crowd," you got to stick with that, man. You got to spray the crowd, man, okay? When you put that thumb over the bottle and I saw you hold it off to the side, I said, this joker's about to get me. He's about to get me. And he said, yeah, I'm not Antron. I'm like, oh, you dirty rascal. I said, you dirty rascal. I said, this comes from them rookies that haven't won a lot yet.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it will happen again. Join me on that stage. And I'll make sure we get both eyes, not just one of them.
Well, I'm wearing some sunglasses next time. I saw your trick. You had the glasses on, so I should have knew it already.
The wraparounds too.
Yep. I'm coming for you next time. I'm coming for you, man. I'm coming for you. I'm just letting you know. I might even have an extra bottle on the side that you don't even know about.
So yesterday, and obviously everybody knows who Jerry Haas is. The world-class chassis builder that he is. He's also my truck driver. He's been so generous, and he's drove our truck for the last few years. And now he's become my laundry man. So I had him take my fire suit to get clean, and he's like, your fire suit really stunk like champagne. I'm like, yeah. And I said, I hope we can do that 6 more times this year. He goes, I'll take them all 6 times. Don't you worry. So he was laughing at just how sticky and nasty it smelled. So I'm sure yours was the same way.
It was. I literally just got done washing because I don't have a truck driver that washes my laundry. I have
who is also a legendary chassis builder who has won like the last X amount of U.S. nationals in pro stock, all the ones that Erica didn't win, pretty much.
Right. Yeah. So it was
drives his truck.
I would apologize, but I'm not going to.
So hey, Antron, I know you know Michael Heiner. He's been out there saying congratulations, but he also says just a word of advice. He says, don't trust Hartford, Antron.
Don't trust the Hartford. I got it already. I got it.
That's what he says. So
I got it.
It was Indy. It was Indy. It was, a moment for me that I'd never experienced. I've been a runner up there before, but to get through 4 rounds, to take a yellow hat, turn it into a blue hat, I didn't really care once I got on that stage. That bottle was getting emptied, and it was getting emptied on anybody who was in the path of the opening of it, and a couple sips for anybody that wanted it as well. So it's you've been fortunate to win there before. I hadn't been. It was a dream come true for sure.
It's a life changer. Really, it changes your first name. It changes the way you'd won 1 race, and now you've won multiple races in a season. You kind of broke through that little weird thing, but getting ready for the countdown. But you ran Erica, you ran a lot, but the final round, though, you kind of gave everybody a heart attack. Antron, were you up on what was happening in pro stock, or was that a little too far out in front?
That was out front because we just barely made it up there.
Yeah, right. You guys.
I heard him. I had the radio playing on the tow vehicle coming up there, and we were in there getting dressed and getting ready. And then, but the thing about it is, when I saw everything that was happening, and I saw what they ran in the semifinals, I had a feeling that it was Matt's day. I knew it was his day because you could just tell through round from round on how people go through the rounds, and he was locked in, brother. He was locked in
until the final round burnout, though.
What'd you do in a burnout, Matt? What happened?
So you raced pro stock bike back in the day.
Yes.
Let's just say hypothetically, with your bike, you roll into the water, and maybe there's not as much water as you need to be in. Let's just say maybe you rolled too far and your tire's completely dry, and you go to let the clutch out, and it just boom, and just basically
hooked.
Tries to it just hooks. So I tried it again, and it basically shut the motor off. So they pushed me back into the water. I refired it. The manifold was full of fuel, so it wouldn't idle clean. It was idling at about 9,000, I think. No, it was idling at about 4,000. And I rolled up and did a burnout, and no issue then. My only concern is that obviously I had a feeling the starter was going to try to tell me to shorten up my burnout. It was Indy. It was the final round. Yeah, I was going through my normal routine. But we're fast at our burnout. We back up fast. We stage, we roll up quick. So I don't really think I held up Quadra, maybe an extra 10 seconds. And first thing I did was apologize to him at the other end of the track that I did hold him up a little bit. But I think it gave everybody a scare when I muffed the burnout, the car's not running, and they're pushing me back into the water, and Quadra's already doing his burnout. So for me, my crew chief came on the radio. He said, Matt, that play is over. Focus, move on. And that was the end of it.
That's how it goes. That's the making of a champ right there when you can block it all out. That's the hardest part that people never understand, is that the ones that are good is no matter what comes their way, whatever happened, you got to leave that alone and focus on the next thing in front of you, not worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't let the emotions get to you.
So
I think that applies in any sport.
Matt's been doing more interviews this week than he's done ever. I've seen him heard him on every show that has been out there. He referenced something. I'm going to see if I can get him to talk about it, Antron. You got to help me out here because it ties into everything. Ties into everything.
Okay.
All right. So, you know, I heard, Matt, and you have referenced that you got a little bit of a pep talk, a talking to, I don't know how you want to characterize it, after Brainerd about, you know, getting your mind right, keeping your mind right, right? And a well-known person in the industry who has also had some success at the U.S. National. And that person told me, like, man, maybe I even overstepped my boundaries by saying such things, you know, but he's got to know. And he even referenced a conversation that happened about you with the snake to tie it all together. And the commentary that was delivered to me was this: it's different when you're the hunter than when you're the hunted. That was a snake comment. Now, Antron, you understand that? You've been that. Matt, like, is that all coming together for you? And what can you share about that pep talk that clearly had some positive effect?
Yeah, we really have had one of the best cars for most of the season, and haven't capitalized on it very well because I've did a poor job of driving more often than not. And so Topeka really made a bad mistake in the second round against Derek. You know, I felt bad for Heiner, you know, really wanted to, you know, let him have that round win. But, you know, then get to Brainerd and it goes right back to, we had, you know, Greg qualified number one, we qualified number two by a thou. We had the two best cars. We both roll up their second round. Greg goes out, loses by 5 thou. Aaron Stanfield, I had to run in the second round, who I had covered by, let's just call it 300s. And he roped me into a staging battle, and it got me off my game. You know, we sat there for a long time. The engine started to get warm, started to surge really bad, wasn't clean. I tuned the engine, so now I'm concerned with, you know, wow, I didn't have a fuel map for when the water temp gets this high. What was I thinking? And I started thinking and quit reacting. And so by the time I went in, which I don't know what the time was, but it was a long time. You know, I went 50 something on the tree. He went 30 something on the tree, and I outran him by 2, and I lost by 5 thou. And he goaded me into it, and rightfully so. I'm not upset at him at all. He did exactly what he needed to do. He needed to find an advantage over us, and he did a great job of doing it. And as I'm driving back to Minneapolis, you know, I'm pretty distraught, to say the least. Mr. Galvin, he called me, and he spent a good solid hour and a half, including as I walked through security and had to hang up on him and then call him back. We spent a good hour and a half where I would say I said, of 90 minutes, I talked for 5. So he just brought me back to earth on everything that had happened from way back in the 70s when he raced, talked about Snake, you know, talked about, you know, the mongoose, talked about being the hunted versus, you know, the hunter. And you know something, it really rang a bell to me. And it was like, when you have the dominant car and you need to just refocus on what you're doing, forget about who's in the other lane, forget about all the noise, forget about the distractions, go up there and make a qualifying run every time. Allow your faith in your team to come through. I have 100% faith in Eddie and KI and Adam and Amber. I know they're going to have the car set up, you know, to go to the front. If I do my job, if I just leave with the other driver, we're going to win the round. And I had really lost sight of that, I think, because I've always been the guy that's been 3 or 400s behind. And how can I play a game with this guy, or how can I, you know, get this person off their game? But when you have a fast car, I don't think you need to do that. And that's what Pat really, it was a great conversation. And he told me with no uncertainty on Monday or Tuesday before we went to Indy, he says, look, I just got off the phone with Snake. He says, he said that you're the car to beat at Indy. And I agree with him. So go win Indy.
How about that? That's amazing. Mm-hmm. Those are the stories, first of all, that you get on WFO radio, but those are the stories that are happening like just under the surface, Antron, that, like, you know, how do you put that out there, but that make things happen. And then you guys get to all share the winner's circle, Matt. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, that was there was no doubt about it. That's when Caps won, I went over to him. I said, "Well, that's going to make Galvin happy." And then when you won, I said the same thing, and it was like, I think he had him and Trevor were up there, and so was Jason. They were on all the pictures with us. They came up. They all had their Pat and Trevor had their Getrick shirts on, so that was cool. And they've been. Steve Bryson and Scott Bryson have been really influential on our program over this last year. I've known them for a long time, and they've stepped up to help us this year, which has really been a game changer for us. We've been able to advance in a couple areas that we weren't able to in the past, and and then just I probably talk to him, if not every day, 5 times a week. He's really good at just I think he's going to start charging me for therapy. I'm pretty sure that's
you guys are kind of Getrick's teammates, right? Like, I mean, that's kind of you're both under the Getrick's deal with the stuff you got going on. Antron and Steve Bryson's been there, and they jumped on board with Matt, and so in a way, this is like a quasi teammate meeting.
Absolutely. Well, they're just good people. Steve Bryson and talking with him all the time, and he loves racing. He's in every different type of racing, and now he's starting to slowly trickle back into the drag racing world. Like, he's never left. He's always had a presence here, but he's been overseas doing a lot of different stuff, overseas and stuff like that, and into the road racing arena. So he loves that too. And but the coolest part is that when you have Pat Galvin coming around and Trevor and all the Getrick's crew and Steve, he's getting his knee better right now. He had knee replacement surgery, so he's getting that stuff all tidied up and getting it all back together. So that's why we didn't get to see him at the U.S. Nationals a whole bunch. And but the coolest part is that when you have them in your corner, they're always there for you. They know everything that you're going through. They know what's happening, and they're always there to help you be the best version of yourself. You know what I mean? And that's the thing about with all the partners that we have, like for Matco, for me, and Toyota, Lucas, Hankster First, all those great people, Summit Racing, all those great people help with all that stuff, man. And when you get arsenal of them behind you, whatever you need, you got somebody to rely on, lean on. And that's the cool part about Pat. I know Matt knows that for sure, because he'll give it to you when you need it. Trust me. He'll mess with you when you need it, but then when things get rough, he goes, "Hey, man, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Keep your head up." And Trevor's just always happy-go-lucky. And Steve, he just brings the faith, man. You got to have faith. He just tells you, just his attitude, just always up and up, man. It's a guy that's always got his glass half full, not half empty. So that's very important, man. And but it was fun seeing him, because he came over our pit, Matt, like how Pat normally does, and goes, "Hey, just come to say hello. But you ain't around. You're a little busy over here, busy over there. I didn't think you have time for me no more." I'm like, "Oh, here we go again."
Yeah, that's normal. And honestly, I didn't see him on Sunday. He came over Monday. He came over Monday morning early and basically wished me good luck. And I never seen him until literally the winner's circle. That was the last time I seen him. Now I know from my crew he was on the line every single time, but he just stayed back and just observed. And we haven't really had a good debrief yet, but there's been a lot of text back and forth, but I'm sure this weekend we'll have a nice little debrief.
And he doesn't like attention either, and so he's probably angry at me for bringing this all up, but I think it's a very important sub-story, like just underground, as to why things happen. Antron, we're going to let you go. I know you're busy. You spent 40 minutes with us, and I always appreciate that, but give me your Reading preview. Hartford, you stick around. I got a couple more questions for you, but here we go. House of Chaos, Maple Grove Raceway set the tone for the countdown to the championship next weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be on, and the way the weather looks, the way it's trending over there, it looks like it's going to be. It looks like it's going to be like mid to high 70s, maybe low 80s at the hottest. And we're at sea level. A lot of oxygen, a lot of trees. All the normal aspirated racers love it. They're going to love it, and we're going to love it because the track should be really good, and we're going to make power a lot easier. And you're going to see a lot of fast, super fast side-by-side runs. And the Chaos family, the Koretsky family, they do a really good job with that facility since they took it over. They've been doing a lot of upgrades, pumping it up, and we've been helping with it. And for me, that's my hometown track. I'm a Jersey boy, so we don't have Englishtown no more. So that is my hometown track. That's literally 45 miles from where I grew up at. So I look forward to going back there. My uncle's going to be there racing a top dragster.
Nice.
He's going to be out there on the sportsman side, and we're going to see what we can make happen, man. I'm looking forward to getting out there and just getting it on, man. And that's Hanksifers' hometown. One of my sponsors, Hanksifers and Streamlight, flashlight company. So we're going to have a lot of guests from them out there, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, but our main focus is going in and going off this momentum from this U.S. National, and hopefully we can parlay that and keep on qualify better for sure.
Yeah,
that's the game plan, and then take it one round at a time, Joe. That's the game plan, brother.
Well, you're starting a lot higher than you did last year, and last year you finished second. So if that's a harbinger of things to come, it's going to be a very exciting countdown. I don't think there's really a favorite. You could say Justin is because of his wins on the season, but everybody's bringing out new stuff. New season starts next weekend. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Good luck, Antron. Thank you so much for spending some time.
Thank you, Joe.
Great job,
congratulations. Take care.
You too, buddy.
Goes Antron Brown with us here on WFO Radio, and now it's just me in Hartford. All right.
Yeah,
that was very.
Jason Galvin's bugging me on my phone right now.
While we're doing the show, Jason Galvin, come on.
Yeah, you know how he is.
You want to hear something that guy did? First of all, he went to the 4th round at the U.S. Nationals at Super Comp, and that deserves great credit. You notice now that Antron's he's like the Antron Brown, the multi-time world champion. Like now I can loosen up. But Jason Galvin invites me to be on his podcast. Did you know that?
I didn't know he had one.
Well, he does have a podcast, except then he doesn't post it. He did I do the work, and then he didn't post it. He didn't get on the air until like days later. So everyone, you can go back and hear last week's pre-U.S. Nationals hype on that. But all right, Hartford, you won Indy, man. You just got to hang out with Antron Brown. That very reflective, deep thought about Pat Galvin's speech to you. You won Indy. What's the haps, man? Like, what is this? How does this feel? All of it,
man. It's a feeling like I don't know how to describe it because I never. Yeah, there you go. It's
there's Jason Galvin.
It's the biggest race of the year. There's only one thing bigger than winning Indy, I think, and that's winning the championship. You know, I don't know. I think you've seen some of the in-car camera in the final round. Man, I was over the top going after the chutes came out, and then I seen all the video of everything with my crew on the starting line from the time I swapped feet all the way down. They were going nuts, and I think my wife was leading that charge of the excitement on the starting line. It's a feeling like no other. It really hasn't set in.
And right. Well, I say it all the time, and Jason Logan always says I'm the king of hyperbole, right? I make it bigger, as big as it is possible. But your life, in many ways, your drag racing life, you're very good because you keep them separate and you have a lot of good things going on other than drag racing. But your drag racing life just changed totally. Like 2 days ago or 4 days ago, you the guy had won some races in pro stock and had a nice little streak of winning one race a year, and you were in the mix. And now you're U.S. Nationals winner at Hartford. Yeah, it's just a totally different deal. You got a key to the executive washroom now.
Yeah, they can never take that away. That is a grueling race, and there's been a lot of people. There's been a lot of people win Indy, and everybody knows the struggles of winning a round, let alone winning a race, let alone winning a 5 qualifying, 9 round total race. It's but to go there, and I go back to my crew. The car that they prepared for 9 runs, we were low for this session, I think 6 or 7 times out of the 9, and 2 of them for sure we were testing. We had something, on the car that a setup that we know shouldn't go low for the round, and we still went 3rd for the round. That says a lot about Eddie and Chris and Adam, and like I said, without my wife's support, I couldn't do this. So I'm lucky to be the nut behind the wheel, and I was fortunate enough to stand on stage and make sure Antron needed to dry clean his fire suit.
Yeah, he did not sound like he was happy. He sounded like there was a slight legit discomfort there. You got it in his eye, man. He needs that.
I don't really care.
It's his eye.
Well, I mean, he basically, he should have better sunglasses, and he should probably be a little more prepared. I mean,
See,
I'm not.
it's because Total Steel has Formula One customers, and they know how to do the champagne, and they always spray each other. Nobody
Right.
sprays the crowd, the reporters, the media, because no offense, nobody cares about those people, us, me, like those people. It's about the drivers, man, in Formula One. You spray each other.
Didn't break his Wally. I mean, his Wally was still sitting there just fine.
So
So
I feel like you did it right, and I am always disappointed that the drivers collude to spray everyone but each other. I'm glad you sprayed Antron.
yeah. So when he said, "We're not, let's just make a pact. We're not spraying each other," everybody kind of nodded their head. And then the words that came out of my mouth, I can't use on TV or on your show, but it was something like, "Blanket. This is Indy. I don't care." And
Yeah.
It was good.
So don't make an alliance on Survivor with Matt Hartford, because he will break the alliance.
Yeah. No, it was look, to go, the whole deal of Monday changed after the first pair. Our entire game plan for Monday, basically go back and redraw up what we're thinking, to the point that during the cleanup, we even turned around, went back to the pits and made changes on the car. Knowing that we were now going to have to go into the right lane and E1. We had no intention of rolling up there to be in the right lane. And after we're looking at the track, and they didn't use any lacquer thinner on the oil, they just started use oil dry on it, and we were convinced that the oil was going to still be in the track today. Even you weren't getting that gear oil out, not get it back to the way the left lane should have been had that not happened. So, like I said, we rolled back to the pits, made some changes. Eddie made some changes, got back up there and said, "Okay, we're in the right lane." And even second round, we rolled up in the left lane, hoping that it was going to be better. And your cohort in crime there, Alan Reinhart, I guess Eddie told me that he's up in the announcer booth saying he didn't understand what we were doing. Dallas ran in front of us and went 63 against the 64 out of the right lane. He says, "Matt's taking the slower lane." Well, I don't think it was the slower lane. I think it was the correct lane we were taking. You got to have faith in your crew chief. And he walks up there and he looks at it and he says, "You know something? This lane, there's parts of it that are really good. There's parts of it that it's going to be a struggle to get through." Now, Heiner got through it. I mean, Derek went right down through and made a really nice run. But he said, "We're set up for the right lane. We're going to move over to the right lane." And honestly, after that, we got back to the pits and I said, "So what do you think?" And he goes, "We're not coming out of that lane now. We are in the right. Our setup is based around that lane. I don't care what happens. We're not leaving it."
Right.
So.
Okay, so and not to spend any time defending Alan Reinhart, but I really think, because I listened to all of that, and I was people who watched the show yesterday, I was very aggravated by that mistake, and it was terrible. Like, I saw Erica go like this, and like, oh my God. And I'm like, what is it? And I see the cap on the ground, and I know nobody does that on purpose, and it's a horrible, egregious mistake, and it's terrible, and that person probably feels super guilty. And it's not personal, but it definitely changed the whole outcome of the race in pro stock. Like, it changed the whole outcome of you had to go into a triage situation and switch up thing. You went back to the pits, et cetera, and so on. Eddie looked like he was, dealing with a lot, making those decisions. I think Alan was just trying to convey to the fans, like, "Hey guys, the whole race isn't ruined. It's not ruined, guys. Like, we can still have a decent race here. Don't worry. The whole U.S. Nationals isn't ruined because of this thing." And I think he was trying to convey that story to the fans.
No disrespect to what he was saying at all. All that did was it made lane choice more important, but less important, if that makes sense. Because had Indy been Indy, and the sun being out, had the clouds stayed a little bit more away and the sun on the track, the left lane was going to be 200ths better than the right lane all day. So by that happening, now you kind of even the lanes. The right lane certainly wasn't as good as what the left lane was through the previous days, but now the left lane had a lot of issues too. So you had two completely different lanes with different characteristics. Choose your battle. Which one? What do you want to try to navigate? Do you want to try to navigate a lane that's maybe a little thicker, a little greasier? Or do you want to navigate a lane that's got gear oil soaked into it and you got to try to get the car, if you can get it to leave, you got to be able to get it in the second gear, and the left lane drags you left really hard. So you got to set your car up pointed right, and one way or the other, you're going to get one of those wheels, one of the tires into where the gear oil was at some point. And I think, and I feel bad for them, and I don't really ever feel bad for other racers because we're all up there to win. But I think Greg not qualifying well he was the biggest loser out of all of it, because he was only like the second car down that had to go down afterwards, and he was in that lane. And I mean, it wasn't happy. I mean, he was in that mess, and I think you would have seen a lot more closer races, some of them earlier pairs, had that not happened.
Yeah, but it's part of your U.S. Nationals victory story, and you just don't know like why things happen in the cosmos, and so it is what it is. You won Indy. We will have a new Total Seal behind Pro Stock, behind the scenes video dropping in the next couple of weeks. We did that. We had some tech talks. We had a bunch of stuff going on that wasn't necessarily, we didn't know you were going to win, but it was all good. In fact, we did a hidden horsepower preview, which is very cool for people to go back and listen to what was this guy thinking about before you went in and you got the job done at the U.S. Nationals. Let's now turn our attention to Maple Grove. Do you know how to be the hunter?
I think Indy proved it. I mean, we went in there. Our goal, I think I said it last week, our goal was to go into Indy and be top of the sheet Friday night. And then our goal was to turn on 4 win lights on Monday. Look, Mason McGahey took a play out of my playbook that I've used many times against people when I've been way behind. After I was pre-stage, he sat there for a good 30 seconds, maybe longer, before he even pre-staged. And all of his crew guys, I asked a couple people that were on the line, I'm like, was Pete still setting his wheelie bars, or what was going on? And they're like, no, everybody was back. He just was, taking his good old time to pre-stage. And, so he slow played a ton with me, which if I didn't get baited into it, as soon as he went in and pre-stage, I, got my brake pressure on, I went right in. Second round, Camry decided she wanted to essentially double bulb me, trying to get me to take some sort of bait, as I'm just turning on my pre-stage bulb, her second bulb comes on. Don't know if they were talking about it on the radio or, I know she likes to go in first, but that was definitely trying to get me off my game. Third round, the round that you would think something would happen. Look, I had a better car than Erica. We were, the round before we were only a thou difference, but overall for the weekend, I think I'd had consistently a little bit better car than hers. So I was like, if we can leave together, I'm going to outrun her. And we both pre-staged it about the same time. We both staged it about the same time. I don't know who went in first on either bulb, but I know if you go back, I guess if I go back and watch the video, there's not a lot of, no one's trying to mess with each other. And then in the finals, Fernando and I went in, there was no games there. So I've realized don't let that noise distract me. And that comes from a lot of conversations with my team, and a lot of conversations with my chassis builder, and definitely a lot of conversations with Mr. Galvin. And so do I know how to be the hunter? I think Indy proved that we can focus on the job at hand and not let the noise bother us.
You said after Norwalk years ago on the mic somewhere, like, she's got me by 0.05 of a second. What am I supposed to do? Just go up there and lose? And that made a lot of sense to me at the time when you were 500 behind. Now other teams are behind you. Makes sense that they would be thinking the same way. And there's no harm in that. That's part of drag racing. All right, but I know you're busy. You got to go. Got to let you go. But you gave the medallion to KI. Eddie gave a wonderful interview on the starting line. Unfortunately, I had to wrap him up because we were thrown down to the top end. But he said, they say I never smile. They say I never smile, but I'm smiling now. Like, he had a whole thing. I can't wait to go back. Adam, your brother, who tricked me into doing multiple sets of mounting tires. That's okay, though. Just to be able to deliver those, like, for those guys.
Yeah, that was huge. I mean, they work so hard, and as I've said a million times, and I just want to make sure it's clear that all these teams work extremely hard out there. There's no doubt. I mean, every team that you race against, every person on the crew works extremely hard. The difference between our crew and most of the crews, I'm here today working at Total Seal. You know, Chris is working at CIP1. Adam and Eddie are working on the houses that they build. You know, our day job isn't working on a race car, where that doesn't take, you know, I don't want to diminish what anybody else does. You know, I know the guys, everybody at KB is busting their butts right now, and I'm sure everybody at Elite is doing the same thing. But their focus is the race car and the engines and the hauler and everything else. None of us are in a position to be able to do that. So for us to be able to come out there and run at the level we're running right now, it means a lot to me. It means a lot to, you know, my entire family there, all our sponsors, you know, and all the media that's really supported us.
Great stuff. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this audio and I'm just going to put it out on Hidden Horsepower as well. So if there's anyone in the Total Seal world you need to thank, you should do that right now. But pretty amazing, and get to start again, because now it's championship time, right? The biggest single race is in the rearview mirror. You won it. The 6 biggest races together with that white hat at the end at In-N-Out Burger drag strip at the In-N-Out Burger finals, that's 6 races away, and it's never been closer. So just give me a final thought.
No, it's and like you said, you know, I'm here at Total Seal today, and you know, we got just about 60 people who all really care about what they do. They're all really passionate about making sure that we put out the best product every day, and you know, without all the support of each and every employee here at Total Seal, there's no way I could do this. You know, really happy to see that, you know, we had the Total Seal colors on the car this weekend at Indy. You know, that's going to be a picture that's on the wall forever, that the Total Seal car won Indy. And, you know, the reason we can do it is because of our Total Seal family. Everybody here supports it. Everybody believes in it, you know, and everybody's happy when they can turn on the TV and see, you know, race cars, whether it's our race car or a car that's, you know, at Monaco going around. They know that they have something to do with why that car is winning. And there's a lot of pride, and everybody here is really passionate about making that happen.
Well, there you go. Congratulations, Matt. Appreciate it. And yeah, also there's a WFO sticker right under your number, and I appreciate that too. And I thought, yes, but slightly less visible than the one on the car, but I appreciate it because now, like, I'll be in the archive now. Like, the WFO exists. It's in the archive. Like 50 years from now, they'll be looking back at the National Dragster photos, and they can't, I mean, I guess they could crop it out, but thank you for that.
Yeah, anytime. And like I said, it's, you know, we appreciate what you do. You know, we appreciate what, you know, all the different media outlets have done. You know, there's been a lot of media this week. But most important, you know, when you get to these events, you know, hats off to all these NHRA guys. We've went 3 races in a row that whether you're the announcer, whether you're the safety safari, you know, whether, you know, you're there in the concession stands, all of these people that come out and work at the track to keep the show going on and keep us drivers safe have had to deal with almost 100-degree weather at, you know, anywhere between 40 and 70% humidity for 3 grueling races in a row. And when Antron says it's going to be in the 70s and 80s in Reading, that's going to be like Arctic weather for all of us. So, but hats off to everybody, you know, at NHRA for all they do for us.
Excellent. All right, Matt, I'll let you get back to work. I know you gotta go back to the shipping, right? Shipping and receiving. You do shipping?
Man, my shipping manager on Tuesday, I get off the plane, I come here, I'm dead ass tired because I'd only got 3 hours of sleep. Shipping manager is on vacation. My backup shipping clerk, she had called in sick, which, you know, it happens to everybody. My VP of operations was on vacation. They're the only 3 in the building that understand how shipping works here, except for myself. So I went back and I literally was in my office for about 15 seconds. I set the Wally down on my desk. I walked back and I took over my role as shipper for the day. And I joked to somebody, I finally got upgraded from janitor to shipping. So it was good.
Time to make the donuts, man. You know, got to get back out there. Racers want to race. They need their rings. All right, Matt, back to work. See you in a few weeks. Maple Grove, Eddie's home track, House of Chaos. It's going to be tough. We start again. Good luck.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Joe.
There he goes, Matt Hartford, U.S. Nationals winner. Matt Hartford wins Indy, the 69th Dodge Power Brokers U.S. Nationals, forever enshrined in drag racing immortality as a U.S. Nationals winner, an Indy winner. Just amazing, along with Ron Capps in the Don the Snake car, Antron Brown. They both went back-to-back. Matt Smith went back-to-back, and Hartford was the only first-time winner in the Camping World Series, and he sprayed them all in the face with the champagne, and they were not happy. But hey, that's the way it goes. Those are the breaks. Simple as that. The National Hot Rod Association playoff, known as the Countdown, gets started in Maple Grove, Pennsylvania, the House of Chaos, the Pep Boys NHRA Nationals. And I just think it is so much more interesting for listeners of Hidden Horsepower and those of you who are watching all of Lake's great technical videos to know that the guy who is facilitating it all is also very successful on the racetrack. And now, the resume cannot be denied. Pretty amazing stuff. Congratulations, Matt Hartford and team. Good luck in the countdown. Good luck to everybody who's going to be out there racing. And hey, remember, let me take the role of Mr. Keith Jones, the director of technical sales, who did such a great job out there at those Trackside Tech Talks, which were awesome. More to come later on this year. Make Total Seal your first call, not your last call. They can answer all your questions. They can get it all done. And we certainly appreciate all you guys. So be sure to subscribe, click that bell down there. Never miss an episode. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, write us a review and be ready for more episodes. We're going to be back at PRI. It's going to be great as we're rolling with